Dear students, welcome to this lesson on how to argue and form an opinion. You need argumentation skills for writing argumentative essays, and they can be useful for debates as well. Let us start by having a quick look at what you will learn in this lesson. In this lesson, you will learn what is an opinion, how to argue and form an opinion, some techniques for argumentation and persuasion. Arguing derives from the root word to argue. While arguing, we give reasons or cite evidence in support of an idea, action, or theory, typically with the aim of persuading others to share our view. For example, if you want permission to attend a friend's birthday party, you will need to persuade your parents. So you will give them reasons to convince them to let you go. Maybe you would tell them that your friend's parents would be there and that you would return before it's too dark. You might as well get them to speak to your friend's parents. This will persuade them to let you go. Therefore, when arguing or providing an opinion, it is important to use some persuasive techniques like elaborating on some reasons. In your exam paper, you usually have a choice between a narrative, descriptive, or argumentative or opinion essay. How do you identify which one is the argumentative or opinion essay? These types of essays would usually contain words like discuss, evaluate, assess, how far, to what extent, how far do you agree, and so on. They require forming an opinion about the topic and then justifying the reasons and supporting them with evidence. An opinion essay is one where you have to say what you think on the topic. And in these type of essays, you will have to take a stand and state whether you agree or disagree, or sometimes you need to provide a balanced argument. An opinion is what you think, what you feel, and what you believe. For example, Toyota is the best car. It's something that I believe and have a strong opinion about. So opinion writing is using your words to convince others to think or feel the same thing as you. Sometimes, instead of opinion writing, it's called persuasive writing. Opinions are useful for persuasion, but demand evidence to back them up. Usually, an opinion should be followed by the reason and backed by evidence. Your job is to have your audience agree with you. So if you manage to convince them, it means that you have succeeded in your mission. For example, an opinion would be Marvel movies are better than DC comics. And the reason is because Marvel movies have better storylines. Now, to support this claim, I provide supporting details or evidence such as Marvel movies have more complex characters and better super teams such as Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Fantastic Four. They also have relatable superheroes and plot development. Now let us have a look at how to write a clear opinion statement. An effective argument starts with a clear opinion statement, often known as a claim. If you can state your opinion in a single, clear sentence, your readers will easily grasp your main argument. And these questions can help you in shaping your ideas. Who or what am I writing about? What specific feeling or belief do I have about the topic? Now let us see how to form an opinion on a topic. Suppose you have a topic, the internet does more harm than good. In order to form an opinion, you need to take a stand on the topic. That is, whether you agree with this statement or not. If the topic asks you, how far do you agree, or to what extent do you agree, make your opinion clear throughout. You can either agree, partially agree, or disagree with the statement by explaining and justifying your opinion. Brainstorming plays a crucial part in forming opinions. This is where you jot down all important details, arguments for and against, and also decide your stand. Thus, brainstorm for ideas, arguments, counter-arguments, and relevant points. You could also use a mind map where you list the different points, why you agree or disagree on the topic. Remember to jot down the reasons and examples that cross your mind. They will serve as evidence and help you to back up your arguments and give them weight. Arguments are made up of ideas in favor of the statement and counter-arguments or diverging views. An argument should analyze, evaluate, and draw conclusions. Now let us come back to our topic, which is the internet does more harm than good. How far do you agree? Now let us consider some arguments on why the internet does more harm than good. The first point that we can consider is that people can be victims of cybercrime and cyberbullying. I am sure you must have heard about people being victims of cybercrime and cyberbullying. The second point is the spread of fake news can be harmful. So many people have been victims of fake news. I am sure many of you have seen fake news about no school because of heavy rainfall. The third point is it leads to social isolation. Many people prefer to stay on their phones rather than socializing. We see this everywhere, in weddings, family functions, etc. The next point is that the internet can be addictive. You must be familiar with this one, because social networking sites for online shopping websites can be very addictive. The next point is that it can lead to deterioration of physical health. Some people have posture problems or eyesight problems due to prolonged screen use. Now let us have a look at the counter-arguments. There must be some advantages of having the internet. So here are some points. The first one is that the internet eases communication. It also allows for global collaboration. It is beneficial for businesses, for example, online shopping or call centers. People can have access to information easily. Now, coming up with good arguments can be challenging. So feel free to read some books about it or do some research on it. Once we have all key ideas, choose 3 of them. Here is my tip. Choose the reasons that are the most powerful, the most convincing, and most importantly, the ones that you know the most about. Suppose I find the argument, it leads to social isolation, more powerful. This is how I proceed to explain it. The internet leads to social isolation because a lot of people spend much time on social networking sites and similar services, and this decreases the amount of time they spend with friends and family. The same strategy will apply for the other 2 points. Now that you have your arguments and explanation, you can form your opinion. These examples can help when you begin to state your opinion. I think that. My personal view is that. I believe that. The worst thing about. The best thing about. In my view, in my opinion, it seems to me that, if you ask me, in my understanding. Or you could also use statements like, Some people say that. Most people believe that. It is often said that. According to scientists, this research seems to suggest everybody knows that, one would agree that, etc. This is how an argument would look like. Remember that the argument has the opinion followed by the explanation and the evidence. The worst thing about using the internet is that it leads to social isolation. So this is the opinion. A lot of people spend so much time on social networking sites and similar services at the expense of quality time with their relatives and loved ones. This is the explanation. Indeed, around 27% of heavy internet users report spending less time talking to friends and family over the phone. This is the evidence. It can be in the form of statistics or examples. Counter-arguments will also follow the same rule. That is, choose the strongest argument or opinion followed by the explanation and then evidence to support it. We usually use statements like however, on the other hand, nevertheless, nonetheless, to put it otherwise, to express a counter-argument. For example, however, the internet has also enhanced communication. This is the opinion. While long ago, people had to write letters and wait for months to receive an answer, now with a click, they can do video calls and communicate with their loved ones regardless of time and location. This is the explanation. And the evidence is, according to Oberlo, as of 2019, there are 3.2 billion social media users all around the world. Similarly, doctors can even perform open heart surgeries via video conferencing. Please note that here I have made use of the linking word similarly to add one more idea. You could use other effective transitions or linking words when shaping your argument. To lay emphasis, you can use words like besides, certainly, undoubtedly, obviously. For similar ideas, use furthermore, moreover, likewise, in the same manner. And to give examples, you can use for instance, as an illustration, a case in point, according to, etc. So far, we have learned that for an effective argument, we need to convince and persuade. Now let us have a look at some good hooks and other persuasive techniques to grab the attention of the reader and enhance your argument. Hooks can be in the form of rhetorical question. For example, how come books have survived for so long in a world where technology is ubiquitous? Or you could use facts or statistics. Over the last week, 38,618 cases of COVID-19 were reported across Australia, an average of 5,517 cases per day. You could also use a metaphor or simile. Facebook is a magnet pulling users across the world. You could also use a quote. For example, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. You can include these to give an edge to your writing or expression. The rule of three is yet another interesting persuasive technique that you could use. The rule of three makes use of three words or adjectives to create more impact. and things that come in free are more persuasive, as human beings tend to process information using patterns, and free is the smallest number of elements required to create a pattern. For example, stop, look, and listen, or blood, sweat, and tears. Another persuasive technique is repetition. Repeating an idea by rephrasing it can influence the listener to accept it as being true. We can repeat the same word, phrase, or idea for more emphasis. For example, the movie Jurassic World deserves an Oscar for Best Special Effects. There are other good movies, but not like that one. Others may deserve an honorable mention, but not the Oscar, because Jurassic World deserves the Oscar. Another technique that you can use is a rebuttal. A rebuttal is an argument against a point, idea, or opinion. It seeks to poke holes in or dismantle another argument. Consider the conversation between Sam and Ria. Sam says, "I think the movie is awesome. The story is original and the dialogues are great too." Ria rebuts by saying, "I agree. The dialogues were good, but the special effects were super weak in my opinion. So weak, in fact, that I had a hard time getting past how bad they were. All I could think about was how silly the special effects were." Here, Ria is trying to refute the arguments of Sam by trying to find loopholes in the film. Let us have a recap of the lesson on how to form an opinion. First of all, understand the topic and what you have to write about. Remember that we argue to persuade. Next, take a stand. State whether you agree or disagree on the topic. Brainstorm on the topic and jot down your ideas. List the arguments in favor of the topic and counter-arguments. Then choose the three strongest arguments. Once you have your 3 points, you can form your opinion. Remember that you must give the opinion followed by the explanation and support with evidence. Use linking words for smooth transitions. And finally, do use other persuasive techniques like rhetorical questions, the rule of three, metaphor, rebuttal technique to sound more convincing. Dear students, I hope the lesson was helpful. I wish you all the best. See you next time for another lesson.